Hello everybody, it's your boy Mistaboomer, back at you here again with some more videos, and today I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on this new Dragon Ball game that released recently called Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Developed by Gambarion, and if you guys are not familiar with that company, let's just say that they've been developing a couple of Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Shonen Jump games, so this is not really their first rodeo touching this franchise. However, this is the first time that they are actually making a MOBA style Dragon Ball game, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not necessarily someone who plays a lot of MOBA games. I've only played a couple of them, like League of Legends, Pokemon Unite, a little bit of Smite with some friends, but that's about it. So obviously I already knew what I was kind of doing inside the game since I already had experience playing those other games that I mentioned, but even so, I still consider myself to be more of a casual inside this genre of games. And if you're like me, the only reason why this game even caught your attention in the first place is specifically because Dragon Ball is attached to its name. On top of the fact that everyone on TikTok and social media were all talking about this game left and right. And since the game is free to play, I decided to give it a try and let everyone who's curious about this game know if it is worth investing your time inside of it. Keep in mind that this is still the network test version of the game, so some of the stuff that I mention or show off inside the game may be completely different in the future when the game fully releases. So with that out of the way, let's actually talk about this game. But like I said before, this game is a team-based MOBA style game, more akin to League of Legends and Pokemon Unite. And within these types of games, the objective is relatively simple. You work together with your allies to try and take over the enemy's bases, and the way how you take over the enemy's bases is by destroying all of their defense towers, and once all their defense towers are destroyed, then you can be able to take over the enemy's base. In the terminology of this game, the Gods of Destructions from Dragon Ball Super would serve as the enemy's defense towers, and inside the enemy's base is Shinron guarding their Dragon Ball. Once you reach their base and destroy Shinron's defense around the Dragon Ball, you can take it, and once you take the Dragon Ball, the game is over. Now, of course, doing all of that is easier said than done, because, of course, while your team is attacking the enemy's base and their towers in order to get their Dragon Ball, you also have to defend your towers and stop them from breaking into your base and taking your Dragon Ball. And since there's multiple towers around the map that you have to destroy, as well as defend from the enemy, this game requires a lot of teamwork and team coordination in order to actually complete certain objectives. This means that certain characters must fulfill certain roles during the match, and other characters need to take certain paths in order to actually be truly effective within their game plan. Speaking of roles, there are only about like 3 roles inside the game that you can choose from, which are damage, tank, and technical. Damage, as pretty much the name of the role implies, are characters that focus on outputting a lot of damage on NPCs and enemy players, since their attacks pretty much do the most damage out of all the archetypes. However, they don't have a lot of health, and can die easily if they're not careful. Then there's the tank archetype, which are characters that have a large cesspool of health and can last longer in battles than the technical and damage archetypes, which means that for the most part they're going to be taking the front lines when going into battle. However, they have terrible mobility, which means that if you are getting jumped at them, it's pretty hard to escape the enemy unless you have backup behind you that can help you run away, or have an attack that can at least stun the enemy so you have enough time to flee. And then there's the technical characters, which are very obscure characters that don't play as the other characters in the roster. They have a more unique playstyle, I would say, but they help provide good defense for allies if they're getting attacked or if you're defending a tower, and they also can provide stat buffs and also sometimes heal allies as well if they're actually low on health. However, their damage output is not really the best as the damage archetype and the tank archetype, which means that if you are going to go in and fight the enemy, it's usually best to either go in with backup so that way they can help you damage and kill the enemy, or if you are going to go in solo, you go in with some type of strategy on how to actually attack the enemy. You can't just run in with them and just start throwing out some YOLO attacks and expecting it to kill the enemy. You definitely want to have backup when you actually go in with them. On top of that, you need to also worry about staying consistent and killing NPCs, as killing the NPCs and killing certain enemy players do level you up. And of course, the more you level up, the more access to moves you'll have and the stronger your character will become. That's pretty much what MOBA games are in a nutshell. I try my best to explain it. If anyone wants to go further in depth with it, you can do so in the comments. But anyway, let's move on to the actual more unique mechanics of this game that are kind of different from the other MOBA games. For starters, the way how you attack the towers in this game, or at least the god destructions inside this game, are way different than how you do it inside of other MOBA games as you're seeing right now. You can't just run up to the god destructions and just start attacking them, as they will start chewing through your health if you dare to try and step inside their proximity. So pretty much what you have to do is wait for the Grand Xenos to start attacking the God Destructions like you're seeing right now, and once they do start attacking the God Destructions, they will lower their defense, and once their defense is lowered, you can then go up to the God Destructions and perform something that is called the Gekishin attack. And it's pretty much the same thing as slam dunking inside Pokemon Unite. You pretty much just go up to them and charge up a move, and once you finish charging up a move, you unleash a powerful attack, which does a shit ton of damage to their health and can even kill them. They are essentially just like those boss NPCs in other MOBA games that assist in attacking towers, except this time you actually do need them in order to actually attack the tower. On paper, I would say in my opinion, this mechanic is kind of a bit of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it does disincentivize players from blindly pushing all the time or pulling some random Jiminy Cricket bullshit throughout the entire match, and encourages more strategic play and teamwork. That's kind of the main reason why I didn't like Pokemon Unite that much, because the game kind of encouraged this YOLO type playstyle where people just abandon their teams to try and score as much points as possible, which pretty much made just teamwork and strategy and doing all the roles in that game feel kind of pointless. On the other hand, however, this would mean that the pace of the match is technically decided by the game and can mess with your strategy. For those of you guys who already aren't aware, the Xenos inside this game spawn in at different intervals, and there's two of them that spawn in, one that assists your team and the other one that assists the enemy team. And since the game pretty much chooses when they choose to spawn in or not, and there's no way you can increase the chances of them spawning in, this means that oftentimes you have to let opportunities where you can go attack the God Destructions go by. Like, let's say you're in a situation, right, where you and your team just finished clearing out all the enemies that are defending the towers on one of the routes. Normally inside MOBA games, that's usually the opportunity for the players to go damage the enemy's tower, or at least try and destroy it before they respawn back in. You know, make some progress inside the match. But then suddenly you run into scenario A where your Xeno spawns in, but they choose the other path instead of taking the path that you're on that doesn't have the enemies on them. Or you run into scenario B where the Xenos just choose not to spawn when the opportunity to attack is right there. Now, I suppose you could just try and stall and just focus on grinding for XP instead until the Xenos are ready to attack, but again, what if you're already good on XP, like you're level 14 or 15 or however the highest level is inside this game is? I'm not too sure, but point is you're good on XP. What is the point of grinding for it then if you're already like near max? And it's not like you can just go to the path that the Xeno is on anyway without risking abandoning your post and allowing the enemy team to take down your God Destruction when their Xeno is attacking yours. Or worse, that tower that the Xeno is attacking is heavily fortified and you're now missing out on the opportunity to attack the tower that isn't heavily fortified. It's stuff like that that kind of makes me a bit iffy about this mechanic, because there have been several times that I have ran into one of those two scenarios that I just mentioned. And it does get a little bit annoying when that happens, because I really do not like missing out on opportunities to actually progress the game. But other than that, I do think that is a really good change moving forward, and I hope that they actually just refine it when the final product does come out. Another change that is inside this game that some of you guys may probably have a problem with, and that's the fact that this game is not like Pokemon Unite and League of Legends, where if you destroy all of the enemy towers on one of the pathways, that means that you can just push to the core and just end the game. No, if you actually want to push to the core, you have to destroy all of the enemy's towers on both of the pathways before you can proceed to the core, or at least to Shinron and take the Dragon Ball. So yeah, this game is definitely opting for a more strategic-based gameplay style where you have to really think about what you do before you actually make your move, because if you start going and playing it recklessly, you are just gonna die over and over again. This isn't like Pokemon Unite where you can just do whatever you want and YOLO most of the time and just succeed with little to no effort. You actually do need to think inside this game in order to succeed. It's kind of funny too, because earlier when I was playing this game, I did run into a few Piccolo and Vegeta players who just kept abandoning their posts and just rushing down the enemies and going in, and they all just kept dying because they kept trying to go in. Like, bro, especially the Piccolo players, like, bro, what are you trying to accomplish by doing that stuff? Just get your ass back there and freaking just focus on freaking leveling up your character. Like, why the fuck are you trying to freaking take down the whole entire squad at level fucking 3? Like, what the hell? Even inside the game, Piccolo can't even stop ore farming. But on a serious note though, yes, I actually did find quite a bit of fun inside this game, surprisingly, for a MOBA style game. It's not really as complex or mechanically in-depth as League of Legends per se, as there's not really that many items inside the game that changes the character stats, if or any all items that change the character stats. For the most part, you literally can just play the game without really having to stat buff a lot of your characters or arrange certain items in order to make them perform at their best. I would say it's definitely a good game to actually start with if you are someone who's kind of newish to the MOBA style games and you're looking to try it. Kind of similar to Pokemon Unite, and for a Dragon Ball take on the MOBA style genre, it's actually pretty good. Right now I'm playing a few games as Frieza here since, you know, apparently not a lot of people actually pick this character inside this game currently, and he's actually pretty fun. I would actually recommend picking him up if you actually like a defensive type of style player character who's very good at defending the Gods of Destructions when the Xenos attack. Like, literally, quite literally, whenever the God of Destructions are down, their defense is down, I leave Dodoria and Zarbon there to kind of just handle anyone that tries to walk in there, and it's pretty funny, honestly. They just literally cucks them every single time they try and score points. But enough about game mechanics, let's actually talk about the big elephant inside the room. As a Dragon Ball fan, does this game authentically play like Dragon Ball? And I would argue yes, but at the same time, no. The game does have a couple of moves from the show that are actually present inside the game, like Frieza's Supernova or Goku's Kaioken or Piccolo's Hell Zone Grenade, which is actually pretty cool, but other characters like Vegeta kinda got the short end of the stick. He doesn't really have a lot of his attacks from the show, like his Gallant gun or even his Final Flash. At most, the only thing that they actually took from the show that he actually does use is his Big Bang attack, and that's reserved as his ultimate, which doesn't make entirely a lot of sense to me, since Vegeta by this point has kind of just used the Big Bang attack as like a more natural tool to him. It's not really his ultimate attack like the Final Flash is, or even his Gallant gun. And before anyone asks, since I know some people are very curious about this, yes, there are transformations inside this game. Pretty much once you reach a certain level after killing enough NPCs or players inside the game, you unlock the option to transform with that character. And once you do transform, your attacks pretty much start becoming a lot more stronger, and you do gain a lot more health, if you actually do transform, which I thought was pretty cool, honestly. Here's the caveat though. Unfortunately, not every single character in the game can transform. And no, I'm not talking about simple characters like Krillin or Android 18 or Dabura, since they don't actually have any transformations in the actual canon. Those are not the characters I'm talking about. I'm more so referring to characters like Piccolo and Frieza, since they do have actual transformations inside the actual canon. I was a little bit disappointed by the fact that Piccolo could not transform into his orange Piccolo form that he could inside of Dragon Ball Super Hero, and the fact that Frieza can't even transform, let alone into his final form at the very least, to kind of please the audience a bit. But then again, this is just simply a network test, which means this is basically a beta, so hopefully inside of some future build or in a future version of this game, they do add in the option for these characters to transform into their actual canon forms if they can, because that's actually going to kind of sting a little bit if it's trying to replicate Dragon Ball and not have some characters that can transform not be able to transform. Especially when they do keep the same movesets for some of the characters that can transform, like Vegeta and Goku. So because of that, I wouldn't say that this game plays 100% authentically like Dragon Ball, since they do kind of remove some key elements from the show just to fit with this MOBA style, which honestly I can respect and understand. Like, Fighters pretty much did the same thing, and I still love that game to death, so who am I to pretty much complain about this? Other than that, there are other references to characters inside this game, such as them kind of showing off Tambourine from the original Dragon Ball, and also showing off some of the superhero soldiers from that movie that you can attack as NPCs, and there's also, I believe, Nappa, who serves as the Dragon Boss for the bottom layer inside this game, which is honestly pretty cool, but that's about all the references that I can name off the top of my head anyway. And at the very least, this game does somewhat still feel like Dragon Ball. When you do the attacks, when you pretty much go around and go on the offense, when you finish off the enemies, you do have the option to actually do this cool little cinematic finisher on them and send them flying like it's an episode out of the show. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch to add inside this game. And overall, the presentation inside this game is pretty cool as well. Like, I don't know if you guys are looking right now, I like when freaking the Zenos attack the God Destructions, they freaking take these two squeaky mouths and start bonking them on the head. Like, I do like the fact that the game does pay a little bit of homage to Dragon Ball's comedic elements, since that is pretty much what the series kind of started out as. It always used to be like a gag manga that Toriyama used to write, with a little mix of action inside of it for all the freaking cool die-hard fans out there. So that's something that I absolutely like about the game. It does a good job at representing Dragon Ball for kind of what it is in both of its aspects. And there he is again, freaking bucking him on the head. Like, seriously, someone needs to like make a caption or meme out of that. Like, I'm calling it. It's gonna be like, someone needs to do that right now. But yeah, I would definitely say that this game is definitely worth checking out if you are a Dragon Ball fan and also someone who just likes playing MOBA games. It's really well made so far, and I honestly do not have too many problems with it. Like, the only problems that I have with the game so far is the fact that sometimes while I was playing, I did run into a little bit of network errors where the game would randomly just DC people. I'm not too sure if it was a rage quit. There's also a few problems where the game would just randomly crash out of nowhere when you roll back to the main menu, which I thought was pretty much problematic. And I also noticed that there is a big issue going on right now with a lot of AFK players just loading into the match and the game not really doing anything to punish those players for AFKing. So if the devs are watching, please make sure to fix those issues inside the final release of the game, because I do not want to deal with that shit at all. And just for the record, guys, I am playing the Steam version of the game. I know that it's showing the Nintendo Switch button, so you probably might think that I'm playing the Nintendo Switch version, but nah, I'm playing the PC version because I was too lazy to freaking get the my Xbox controller, so I just played on my Nintendo Switch controller. There are other game modes inside the game that you could also play as well, but at the time of recording this, I didn't really have too much time to really squeeze in any more hours to try and play this game. So maybe I'll have to come back and talk about those game modes once the game actually fully releases, since I'm not too sure if the beta is gonna remain open for much longer until the game actually fully releases. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the game anyway. Pretty solid MOBA game, pretty solid or decent Dragon Ball game for what it is. I would definitely recommend giving it a try. It is a free-to-play game. It's available on Steam, the Nintendo Switch. It's available on both the PS4 and PS5, and it's also available on mobile. I'm not too sure if there is an Xbox version. I didn't really see that there was an Xbox version posted when they actually did release the game, so chances are I may not be getting an Xbox version, and if we do get an Xbox version inside the future, it's gonna be in 5 minutes in the future, Namek time. Good lord, it's gonna be a while. But yeah, I definitely recommend giving this game a try, and if you guys don't like it, as the great Reggie says from Nintendo, why bother? Just put the game down and don't even touch it again. But hey, at least you tried it. Chances are you could be experiencing something that you actually do like. I had to learn that the hard way when I tried Steak for the first time, so this probably might be new for some people who choose to try MOBA for the first time. But yeah guys, that's pretty much just gonna do it for this type of video anyway. I wanted to just give my thoughts and opinions on this game, simply because I saw that it was available and I thought, you know what, I could not just pass up the opportunity to just give my thoughts and opinions on it and test it out. I mean, it's Dragon Ball. This franchise has been around in a lot of places. It has its own traditional fighting game, its own open world game, it has its own MMO game. It pretty much is the franchise that has a whole shit ton of freaking game genres, and it's pretty crazy that all of them have been pretty good so far, and I absolutely like this game. I believe when you actually play the network test too, they actually give you like a lot of points in order to be able to buy all the characters inside the shop, so you can test out all of them inside the beta, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty rare to see a free-to-play multiplayer game actually give you the option to experiment with every character in the game, so that's a good nod. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you actually do want me to make more content on this game in the future. But other than that, if you do like this video, make sure to like and comment your thoughts on this game so far. Other than that, peace out.